Okay. Stream starting. Now, before I get into the stream, I just want to let you guys know that this is... what the fuck is my voice doing? Okay. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Here we got a few celestial objects for you. Here, let me actually turn that off of bold. Now, here we have a few of the objects in KSP. Actually, we have literally all of them, with the exception of Kerbin, because we already kind of have a base there. Now, so let me finish up. I kind of whipped this sheet up last minute, so whatever. This is what body it is. These are the ratings, and this is like the space for out of 5. Okay. Let us begin. Wait, hold on. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Let us begin with the plan. Okay, well, let's explain what's going on first. So, KSP 2, very good game, probably, very excited for it. They announced that we're going to be able to do base building, which I'm super stoked for. So, that means that we're going to have to do a little bit of a what they call critical thinking, where you have to think critically, right? So we're going to rate out of 5 each of the objects in the stock KSP system, with the exception of Kerbin, how decent a base would be. Now, we're going to undergo 2 circumstances, right? Wait. Weird. All right, whatever. We're just gonna do it. Yeah, let's begin. Let us begin. Let us. Come on. So, we have the Mun, the first location, right? It's all right. Oh right. I've been trying to think of what to say. I need scripts. I swear to God. These are going to be based on a variety of factors. Okay. Placement, materials, environment. I don't know if I said that already, but I did, and okay. Placement is where the object is in the system. It covers how easy it would be to get there and how easy it is to get away. That would actually be more an environment. It would more discuss like how the position of this object is beneficial, weighed against how easy it is to like get there, right? So getting there and where it is when you get away. Materials would be very obvious. It's like metal and ore for fuel, right? Yeah. But also other materials as well. We'll get to that in a second. Then finally, we have environment. Okay, the environment is very obvious. It covers how easy it would be to get away from the planet, how easy, or moon or whatever, and how flat the terrain is. How easy it would be to construct a base, and how easy moving around that base would be, or something. How much maintenance would be required on the base, right? So, this is basically every body, again, go all the way out to Elu from the Mun, right? So let's rate these out of 5. Now, first one's first, the Moon. Oh, also, we're doing surface and orbit, because for some of these, like Jewel, you can't... Oh, I forgot to change that name. For Jewel, you cannot land on it, so that is outs for us. But we do have orbit around Jewel, so we're going to look at that as well. Now, for self-sustaining bases-ish, let's see how... We'll wait and see how self-sustaining the bases are. We're going to go to the Moon, right? Placement, the Moon is very close, very close, and it's on a perfectly circular orbit. All right? And that already gives us a 5. It's super easy to get there and repair bases all that stuff. Nice. For materials, I'm going to go with 4 because there's a lot of, I assume, there's going to be a lot of ores and metals on the moon in comparison to, other bodies. But the moon is very difficult to land on. Well, not very difficult, but it's also not very flat in a lot of places. But there is no atmosphere. So for that, we give it a 4. So the moon is already a very, very good space to place our base. We rhymed right there. Now let's go to Minimus. Minimus is in a bit of a pickle. It's much easier to get to. So we'll put that environment. Like land on than the moon. Not much, but noticeably easier. For placement, it is very close to Kerbin as well, but it is in a very circular orbit. So we're going to give it a 4. For materials, I don't think that Minimus is going to be a ceramic planet. And I don't know how much ore for fuel or ore for metals there will be on the crust of the planet. I doubt that there's going to be a lot. So I'm actually going to give it like a 2. I'm sure there'll be some, but I don't know, man. Anyway, now for the environment of Minimus. It's super flat. It's super light. You can land there like very easily. There's all this open space on the greater flats and even on the lesser flats. I think that it would be there's no atmosphere either. And there are these huge, huge stretches. You can even I've seen people take craft, put them in a low enough orbit around Minimus, so where their periapsis is 0, and then they gain materials from orbit, while they're still in an orbit around Minimus, they're drilling the surface to get stuff. It's beautiful. 5. Actually, Minimus might set the standard. It has a perfect environment, relatively speaking, of course. So we're gonna bring the environment of the moon down to 3.5, but the moon is perfectly placed, so we're gonna bring Minimus down to 3.5. I don't know how many materials these have, but whatever. Anyway, Eve. This one is very, very tricky because it's another planet. It's got a strong gravity well, so it's okay-ish to get to, right? It's close. It's not as good of a location as Minimus or the moon, so we're going to give that already a 3. Materials, I'm also going to give that a 3. Because I'm not entirely sure how much, actual metal there is on Eve. I'm actually going to go to 3.5 because I assume there's a lot of metal on Eve, right? There's also, oh, right, I forgot. 4.5 because I'm just assuming that, since Eve is quite the exotic planet, there's going to be something to do with its exotic nature. Like how Titan is very interesting. We could do a whole lot of stuff with the unique chemistry that goes on there. In the there's going to be a whole lot of science you can do on Eve. And, if bases are a thing, that science could be prolonged. And science is going to extend far beyond the tech tree that we know in the new game because of all the new technology they're going to add. It sounds like they're stretching the tree out really far when it comes to bases and new engines and the Holy Grail engines and all that stuff and how far those are going to be. Orion Drive, it's going to be so much stuff. So we're going to, give Eve more points for the science. In fact, I might actually give it a 5 because I don't know any other planet that's going to have better material. Well, I do, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But for the environment, I'm going to give it a 1.5. It's really difficult to leave Eve. And it's quite dangerous to land on Eve. And the gravity is very strong. The air is super thick. You can't take your helmet off. You can't take your helmet off anywhere. But the atmosphere in itself makes launching from that base very difficult. So it's going to be, quite troublesome to try and base around. Gilly, on the other hand, is very interesting. I don't know how much metal they're going to give an asteroid, but I'm going to just put down 3 for materials. I'm also going to put down 3.5 for location, since it's in an orbit around Eve, which means that if you escape the sphere of influence, of Gilly, then you're going to be able to already be in an orbit around Eve, and you could easily adjust that orbit. Now, for the environment, it's a 5. It is very, very lightweight there. It's like almost as good as, well, actually, according to the sheet, it is as good as Minimus. But actually, I'm going to give it a 4.5 because it's not flat, really. The gravity is so weak, and some of the slopes are extreme enough that your rocket can tip over so slowly, and it's so annoying. It just might be really difficult to deal with. Now, Gilly is not a very good candidate. Neither is Eve. Neither is Eve. Anyway, Moho. This is the inner planet. For placement, it is very, very terrible. It's the closest planet to the sun, although I assume that there's going to be a lot of metal on Moho, because if it takes after Mercury, which is a very metal-rich planet, which is actually why I'm going to bring this down, because I was thinking about the planet, but, whatever. Moho is the Mercury equivalent. Its environment is not as perfect as the Moon. The gravity there is stronger than the Moon, so we're going to bring it down to a 3. I haven't landed on it myself, so I don't know how flat it is, but I assume that the craters are flat-ish, so that's still good, but the gravity is takeaway because it's very hard. But I assume there's going to be a lot of metal, and there's, yeah, just that. There's also no atmosphere, so that puts it up there with the Moon as well. Anyway, Duna. I'm going to be honest, Duna doesn't really have a lot of metal stuff going for it, but it does have the advantage, I should have added that to this one as well, of the ice on it. Duna has, well, let's see, the position, it is on par with Eve. It's further from the sun, so if you leave Duna, you will be further from the star's influence, and you will have less of a pain in the ass to go further places, even more so than on Kerbin. The atmosphere is thinner too, but Duna's orbit is really eccentric, which may not matter, but it's eh. So yeah, Duna's a 3. You know what? I might actually give it a 3.5. Just because it's in a much better location, being further. And circularization doesn't really matter that much, but, Anyway, why did I give Minimus such a low rating? It should be like 4.5. Or maybe just 4, I don't know. Anyway, yes, materials. There's ice, and ice can be turned into rocket fuel. There's a lot of polar area on Duna. I don't know how flat it is. I assume not very flat, but there is ice, on it, so you can turn that into a whole bunch of stuff. For the other stuff, though, I don't know if there's a lot, so I'm going to give it 3. The ice helps distance it from a 2, but I don't know. The environment, there's an atmosphere, but it's very thin, so I don't think it would matter all that much to live there. So we're going to give it, the gravity's lower. It's stronger than on Moho, but it's, there's an atmosphere. You could do something with that. It's further from the star as well, much further. Anyway, Ike, I think, will be like a better Duna. Not Minimus. I love Minimus. Let's see, Ike. The placement of Ike. It's like Duna's location, but so much better because it's much lighter. There's no atmosphere at all, which makes landing on it slightly more difficult, but Duna's atmosphere is really thin anyway, so landing on it with parachutes is, even though it can work, and it did for me once. Kind of. So we're going to give Ike a 4.5? I'm going to give it a 4 for now. Now, wait, hold on. Why is this a 5? Whatever, something's gonna be 5, I guess. Ike probably has more metal than Duna, so we're gonna give it a 3.5. We're actually gonna bump that back down to 3 because I don't know about the ice on Ike. Duna has designated polar regions, but Ike doesn't. So there might be more metal on Ike. If it's not metal poor, it could be metal poor. I don't know, but there's not ice on it, so about the same there. The environment on Ike is gravity's weaker. The atmosphere is thinner. If you leave Ike, you can get into an orbit of Duna, which basically makes that better. Since it takes less to get into an orbit and to land there. I'm going to give the environment a 4. Ike is a really good place for a base, apparently. Has many points as Minimus. Something. Here, wait. Hold on. 2.5 is like half points, so it's alright. I was basing all these off Moho for a standard. Right, Dress. Now, this is the big one. Immediately, 5. They said that they're going to give Dress very cool goodies on its mountain range. Now, they said they're going to give every planet something cool, but just that makes me very much like Dress. Also, its placement, it's not as good as Duna's. It's even just slightly less difficult to land on than Moho. I'm going to give it a 2.5 for location. Because even if you manage to leave it, it's not really super excellent for what orbit you get into. So you're going to have to adjust that orbit again to get to another body because it's really inclined and it's really centric. But Dress has these canyons and these mountain ranges. It's not super flat though. It's for the environment, it's about as good as Ike. Although it's scenic. That's the key difference. Jewel is like, you can't land on Jewel, so we're not going to focus too much on that. For Lathe, let's see, Lathe is the innermost planet of Jewel. It's all the major moons have perfectly circular orbits, which is very nice. So I'm going to give that already a 4.5. If Ike was a 4, then Lathe would be a 4.5. Well, location placement doesn't matter just on like how you get there. It also matters how you go away, which actually brings Dress back down to like even a 1.5. I don't know why I gave it 2.5. But yeah, Lathe is very good. It was really close to Jewel. It's the innermost moon, right? For the materials, it has water, not ice, but liquid water, and it has a breathable atmosphere. Well, that'll come later. But I assume it has just as much metal as Eve. And there's even more science to be done there, although I don't know about as much as on Eve. I could bring that down to a 3.5, but I think it's going to be about the same as Eve. There might be even more science to do here because it's so similar to Kerbin, but it has a completely different history. Now, when it comes to the environment 5, for very obvious reasons, right? It's perfectly habitable. You could take your helmet off there. You could breathe. There's water. There's a thick atmosphere. Not too thick, not too thin. It's habitable for Kerbals. You can make your home base on Lathe. Life on Lathe, as that one series was. Very nice. Tylo. Now, I imagine that Tylo is going to have a lot more metal on it. Right? So it's going to be... why is Moho a 5? 4.5 is pretty good. However, It is very heavy. It's as heavy as carbon, but you can't, like, there's no atmosphere, so you don't have no parachutes. So it's even worse than Moho. 1.5. Hell, 1. Incredibly difficult to land on and leave. But it does have a good position. It's like Lathe, but it's a bit farther. So I'm actually going to bring that down to a 4. I'm going to turn this up to... Well, I don't know if it's a 4.5 because it's not in that much better of a position. And Val. There is water on Val as well, although I doubt that it is metal rich. Because the crust is very icy, it's probably an ice moon. It has glaciers on it. If it's anything like Enceladus or Europa, the surface is probably like pretty much ice, very little silicates or metals. So it'll get like a 2. It's also overshadowed by Lathe in terms of water because, you know, for very obvious reasons. It is much easier to land on, though. And it's, I think it's the farthest moon? No, I think it's the second farthest moon. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's the second farthest moon. Here, wait. Joule system. Okay, yep. And what's the one with the really eccentric orbit for later? That's a different one. I think it's Bop. What? Bop? Yep. The Bop orbit. Okay. Now, Bop's going to get low points for that. But, yeah, Val is, it has less gravity. It's the smallest major moon out of the 3, right? So for that, its environment gets a plus. Also, there's flattish parts. It's not as flat as Minimus, but it is flatter. So we're going to give it, 3. For the position, it's also very good. Not as good as, well, actually, I think I gave Tyler high points because it was closer. We're gonna 3.5. Wait, Bop is the weird one for position. Placement. 2.5. It is in a polar orbit, or not a polar orbit, but it's in a very inclined orbit. So if you want to have your spacecraft in an inclined orbit, that would be a very good location to put it in, to get a starting point, right? It's a unique orbit. I'll give you that, but that doesn't really add much. Like other asteroids, I assume it's going to be very metal poor, like Gilly. In fact, I should probably move Gilly down to a 2.5. So I'm going to give Bop and Pole. Well, I'm going to give Pole a 2 because based on the art, it seems that the crust on Pole is more silicate than metal, whereas Bop... See, I think Bop is actually much smaller than Pole. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. Well. Eh. Okay. Now, for the environment on Bop, there's a very low surface gravity. It's very good. It's not as good as Gilly's, though, so I'm going to give that a 4. I'm also going to give Paul a 4. I just like low gravity environments where there's no atmosphere. These 3 moons are very good for like creating a surface space and launching rockets off of them. You can get materials from them and then you can immediately send them into orbit. Anyway, accessibility of Pole is, I think, much better than... Why is Val so low again? Wait. Oh, that was metals. Gotta edit this back. Weird. What was it? It was the placement, right? The placement. And this right here is a 4. It's also in the Julian system, so you can... I should add 0.5 to all of them because they're all in the same system. So going to and fro each other is much, much easier. Now that makes more sense for the numbers. I think the decimal places threw me off. Anyway, Elu. Placement, it's the farthest planet, but it's really hard to get to, so I'm going to give it a 2. For the environment, it's also icy, and I think there is more metal here than on the other planets. So, let's see, what I give Val? Let's give Elu a 3.5. For environment, it's really cold. Energy generation on this planet is going to be really poor. So it's going to be less than Val, too. Unless they add details to Elu. But for now, that's like all there is. Now, I shouldn't really have this if it's just for orbit. Okay. Now, the orbit basically means how good something in orbit would be. Now, for Joule, that's obviously going to be a 5. Why is this white? I don't remember turning that to white. But okay. Actually, Joule's going to be like a 10 because it got neglected. Joule is a gas giant. That's like it's rare in the system. 4. Its environment is impossible to make an actual base on, but you can base in orbit. Placement is kind of easy to get to, right? And it's also situated at the moons. Now, for the smaller moons, like Gilly, that'll be a 5. Bop and Paul all get 5. For Elu and Orbit would be, I think, average. Val, Orbit would be easier to get into. Tylo, that orbit would be beneficial to have, but it also takes right back away by how hard it is to get into orbit and how to land on the planet. So, also average. Length in orbit would be about as good, I think. Actually, you know what? Shit. 5 plus x plus 0.5 or 0.5 plus 2.5 plus 2.5 plus x. Let's turn all of these to the side. The other side. Now, dress orbit plus 1. No, 1 plus. Very good low gravity. Orbit would be nice. Duna orbit would be average. Well, actually, 0.5 plus, 1 plus. You could get into Duna orbit very easily, and you could also get into Ike orbit if you really want to. Moho orbit is neutral. Gilly orbit is a 5. That doesn't make any sense. 2 plus, because you get into an Eve orbit. Actually, 1.5 plus. Which makes me think about these two. This is mainly like what an orbit would be beneficially to the bases. For Eve, I think an orbit is like eh. In fact, if Duna is then this might be an X. Minimus, an orbital base, actually adds quite a bit. For the Mun, an orbital base is very easy to land from. And all right. We're going to tally these up. We're actually going to bold this whole row. Now, 9, okay, so 8, 13. Okay, 13 for the Mun. 6, 11, 13 as well. Oh, so both of these have equal scores. I didn't intend for that to happen, but all right. Yeah, 4, 4, and 5. 2, 2, 4, and 5. Same thing. Eve, 7, 8.5. Out of a max of 15 plus, that's not very great. Now, we're going to add all the halves later. Just add 2 and add the wholes as well. So 3, 2, 4, 1. 12. Moho. 1, 5, 7, 8. No surprise, it's even worse than Eve. Probably the science points adding just a bit more. Duna, 9, 10. Okay, there's a 10. Ike, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.5. Dress, 8, 9, 10, 11. These numbers are starting to make more and more sense, especially these two. Basically equal in goodness. Jewel, 15. Oh, let's see. Life. 9, 10, 11, 12.5. Tylo. 10. Val. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.5. Bop and Pole. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11.5. Okay. Let's see, 4.5. Okay, so 6. Wait, 8, 10, 12, 12.5. Actually, it just looks like it doesn't have that much metal on it. I'm sorry. Wait, metal pour bodies KSP. Pull metal content KSP. This is cool art for Pole. Oh my god. Float through the stars. There's an atmosphere on Pole? Huh. Oh, that's the KSP2 show and tell Pole. Okay, maybe there might be more metal than I thought. Hoping. Here's to hoping. It also has a very circular orbit, you know, as evident by that. Elu, 2, 2. Okay, so 2, 4, 7.5. Oof. Be the lowest score out of anything here. Okay, now let's get them onto a ranking. So, highest values first. I'm going to basically copy this list. And copy the main scores. Now I'm going to unbold both of them. I'm going to make them much less dark. Oops. I'll turn that back to dark. Very nice. Okay. And we're going to order them relative to each other. So Mun and Minimus are going to be near the front. Lath, Paul. Or let me grab. Anything higher than 13? Oh, nope, these are the best two. Okay, they're going at the front. Now, 12, 11.5. There's one. There's two. Bop as well. Oh, wait, I forgot Jewel. Okay, so just 11. There's one dress. Just gotta move it down. 10.5. Nope, just 10s. Oh, wait, there was a 12. Gilly. 9.5. Okay, we got the end of our list in sights. All right. That seems... All right. Now we're going to order them 15, 14. Just in a graph. Like an imaginary graph. There's no reason why I can't do this in Desmos, but... Wait, there's no such thing as like a... What, a 7.5? Or just 7? So that's as high as the graph's going to go. Okay. Move that down to 13. 5. $11, $10, 9.5, 8.5. And there's a visual representation of where each object is on the chart. Now let's see the best bases. Apparently will be over the 10 mark. So let's shade that in a slightly darker shade. Let's see. Duna and Tylo are on the 10 mark. Tylo should not be a 10. Tylo's a really bad position to make a base. Not an orbital base, though, I guess. So, yeah, Duna, Tylo on the same level, counting Tylo's orbital potential. And there's rendezvous with Ike. That seems right. Okay. Ike seems like a better base, though. Then there's Dress. Below it, then Bop on the same level as Ike. I just put Bop and Gilly close together because, you know, they're both very similar moons. So Paul, Gilly, and Bop, the 3 asteroid moons are kind of close together. Actually, they're very close together. But Paul seems like the best asteroid moon to base on, even though it's the one with the most eccentric orbit. I did give it less of a penalty for it having an eccentric orbit, but it's very interesting anyway. Now, Lathe. Lathe, Minimus, Mun, and Jewel are all very good objects. I should have docked them points, actually, considering that they are really close to Kerbin. So, yeah, I'm actually going to do that. My mom might be here, also. Full point. You know, Minimus is farther. It's going to get less of a dock. Minimus is not my favorite. It is, but I'm trying my best. Okay, so dock to full point, that's going to go down 12. So it's going to be 12. It's going to be 12.5. So these three objects are kind of appears on the same parting. And Gilly and Mun. Okay, this makes much more sense to me, specifically. You can have your own opinion, right? I'm not going to kill you for that. But my brain likes this arrangement better. Minimus, Lathe, and Paul. Some of my three favorite idea objects to base on. Lathe, obvious reasons. Minimus, it's just my favorite moon. Although, you know, the points do not lie. They never do. And Paul being a moon, right? Bop and Ike and Dress, maybe Juna, Tylo, Moon, and Gilly. Those are the objects on this little bell curve right here. I don't know what a bell curve is. I don't think this is a bell curve, though. But yeah, Jewel's obviously the best place you want to go to in the long run. And this is just in the system. There are other objects as well. Jewel gets a big bonus for being a gas giant with a bunch of moons in its orbit. I don't think I even gave points to Eve for having Gilly in its orbit because it's so hard to intercept it. But Jewel orbit is just mwah. So you want to have a space station. Here's the plan, okay? Or here's my plan. When KSP 2 comes out, I'm getting on career mode. I'm doing all the things, and the first thing I'm doing, main goal, big interstellar time, is I'm going to have a base in the orbit of Jewel. Right? That's my end goal, to have a base in the orbit of Jewel that has a main base on Lathe. And also Paul. Paul for mining, Lathe for habitation, Jewel base to get those two to combine, right? Also Bop, I guess. Gilly would be a... Okay, let's see. Gilly and Ike and later down the line Dress would be good mineral depots. The Mun is a good early term mineral depot, but Minimus is a good early term colony. You could ship the minerals from the Mun to Minimus, develop that colony, and then you can go out to Ike and Address to get that worked out. Maybe have a colony on Duna if you really want to, I guess. And then, you know, also mineral depot at Gilly, although it's kind of hard to get from Gilly to Kerbin and to the beyond, but it seems like it could be a good space for performing Eve science and a good launch pad into the inner system or closer to the sun if you really want to. But yeah, yes, I think I gave Gilly too many points there. I honestly think my opinion was incorrect. Where's Gilly? Here? Environments. That's a bit extreme. Placement is also a bit extreme. Okay, a full point down. So Gilly's on par with Drez. That makes much more sense as well. Okay. So Gilly and Dress kind of late game objectives. Right? Right. So yeah, first I aim for Minimus, then I aim for the Mun, then I perform science on both of them, then I get more parts. Then I build some sort of base on the Mun to give me materials, and then I ship those materials to Minimus to get a colony going and build a launch pad. From Minimus, I have that launch pad and I shoot out to the other planets, mainly being Ike, the moon of Duna, obviously, and also Bop and Pull already. Well, those are late term. You know, then I go to Gillian-Dress to get additional medals. And then I go to Lathe, Bop, Paul, and Jewel to do all that good stuff. And all these other locations, especially these three, are not going to be super fun beyond science. So I'm not going to base on any of these. Val might not actually be worth it. Tylo is definitely not worth it. Duna is yeah. Although everything above this line might be a good place to start. Anyway, yeah, that's the breakdown. Breakdown. Analysis. Yes. Good stream. Stream end? I think stream end. Yes. Thank you for watching, folks.